Are you a football fan? Have you ever found yourself wondering, what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help you. Join me on Whistle Talk as I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Whistle Talk, coming at you from New Jersey here. Mike D, the referee, coming back to you. Got my buddy Daniel from Oklahoma joining us once again, and tonight I got a couple of special guests. We're going to be talking a little offense here, and specifically a little Flexbone offense tonight, something that is near and dear to my heart personally, that I loved to run, but now as an official, it's something that kind of makes us twinge and stuff like that when we see that we got the Flexbone coming up. But going to be a good episode tonight. Before we begin, though, I got to do my little podcast spiel. If you are enjoying the show, do me that favor. Hit that follow and subscribe button right now. It's totally free. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Again, these things are totally free. I'd love it if you can give a quick rating and review. And if you know somebody that's out there that might be interested in the show, share it with them. Share this episode. Share it on social media. Do whatever you can. Just share it out there because we're just looking to continue to grow our football community, our officiating community, our coaching community, but just continue to grow football in general. So take a look out of all those things. I also got the YouTube channel here, so we'll throw that baby on there. So we got the youtube.com at Mike D, the referee. So we got that one. And if you're really enjoying the show and you want to buy me a cocktail tonight, I am drinking a little Bullet bourbon. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Mike D, the referee. So we're coming from the Vets to Refs studio here. I got my Vets to Refs shirt on once again. So take a look at them also. The guys at Vets to Refs doing a great thing of getting veterans into the fields of officiating. You can find them at vetstorefs.com. So take a look at that. Are you a veteran or a first responder looking for a new way to serve? Vets to Ref, along with their partners, supports you every step of the way, covering costs, supplying gear, and connecting you with top-notch training. Step onto the field and make a difference for the next generation. Vets to Refs, opportunity, community, and service in every call. Learn more at vetstorefs.com. That's VETS, the number 2, REFS.com. Vets to Refs, here to help you serve. All right, so we got all that stuff out of the way now. Let's talk some football. Daniel, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Man, it's been a good week, Mike. Week 1 of high school ball here in Oklahoma is started. What is this, Wednesday, I think?
Yeah, that's how you know it's week 1.
My week started like on Saturday, so I've been off all week. But yeah, man, day 3 of practice in the books, and life is good. Honestly, can't ask for better than that.
All right, and we got Coach Bryan Gallagher joining us from Morris Knolls up in North Jersey. So Daniel, you're in for a whole lot of Jersey tonight.
Yeah, man, that's okay. Lots of Flexbone, lots of Jersey. I'll survive.
There you go, Coach Gallagher. Right. How you doing tonight?
Doing well. Yeah, we're the same way there. Just wrapping up day 3 today. Nice hot one for us in Jersey this morning. So, plugging along and getting ready to roll.
Not gonna lie, I don't miss it. I spent my early afternoon morning at the beach today, so I enjoyed doing the AYF game that I'm coaching right now, and. Coming at us here from my old alma mater, Raritan High School. Got to give a shout out to the Rockets. I got head coach Anthony Petruzzi and his offense coordinator, Mr. Chris Damian. Gents, how are you guys doing this evening?
Doing great, Mike.
Yeah, glad to be on.
So, as I mentioned before in the quick intro, the reason I invited these gentlemen on tonight, well, and Daniel, just because he's a overall cool dude, so we'll keep him going.
Yeah.
But the other guys, I have had the honor of officiating one or a couple of their games, and they run the Flexbone. The Flexbone, for those that aren't aware, is a triple option, and it is near and dear to my heart because my last couple of years as an offensive coordinator, that's what I used to run. And we used to go down to Navy, and gosh, I remember that was probably the best not knocking any of the clinics, but that Navy clinic was probably the best clinic that I've ever been to because Coach Niamatalolo told us the first night, boys, you're going to have to go to any drill that you want. We are going live. We are going team. It is full contact practice. If you get your ass run over, it's your own fucking fault. You're all football coaches. You know better. So keep your head on a swivel because we got college athletes running the option out there. I was like, okay, let's go. So I got to learn a whole lot that weekend down at the Navy Academy. And gosh, I loved it. So I'm going to start with Coach Gallagher first. Coach, what got you guys into running the Flexbone? Because I know it's not a lot of teams that are running it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I had the privilege in high school. I played for Bill Regan at Morris Knowles High School. So we were a split back veer offense, but triple option was like you grew up in Rockaway Township and Morris Knowles, if in the 90s there when Coach Regan really had it rolling. They had won 3 straight state championships, and I kind of always wanted to be a triple option guy at that point. And then coaching with my father for a whole bunch of years, he was a wing T guy, and so my first bunch of years as a head coach, we were wing T, and then we had actually taken a trip down to Georgia. So Roger Holmes runs a wing T clinic down there, a Southeast wing T clinic. My father and I went down one year over spring break, and the thing that surprised us when we were down there was that it seemed like all the teams in Florida and Georgia that were wing T were almost all running midline, like as a part of their wing T. And at the time, our league was, like 4 out of the 6 teams, I think, were wing T. So we thought, this could be a little thing that separates us. So that was where we kind of started dipping our toes in. And then, just through the years, I think kind of evolved to where in 2018, I think was the first year that we were fully, kind of stopped playing with the tight end. And, we're inside veer as the base play, on day one.
Yep. And now you guys are married to it. And I got to say, working Coach Gallagher's game this year, I had the opportunity to work a state semifinal that Coach Gallagher was in. And unfortunately, Coach, sorry to bring it up. I know it didn't go your way.
Heck of a game. Yep.
One of the best football games that I've ever been a part of as a player, coach, and official. And I joke around. I look back. I still have the huddle film of it. There was 190 plays, 190 snaps in that game between the two teams. It was no huddle from both teams, 35-28 football game. I think if I remember correctly, Coach, you guys ran for 500 yards that particular game?
Somewhere around there, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that's not too shabby in that aspect. So So, Coach Petruzzi, I know you got your OC here, Mr. Damian. What got you guys into running the Flexbone? Because I know you guys have kind of you're back more to a traditional Flexbone with it, but you guys were a little bit of a spread Flexbone at one point, correct?
I mean, we're in a pistol, so sometimes people mistake that as a spread. We do spread them out. Our A-backs do work, as wide receivers, but we transitioned because of Coach Damian. We had, we were the same graduating class. He was at the crosstown rival school from where we played. We just been around football. When he came onto the staff, he had a background in wing T as a high school player. He was at Monmouth University running spread offense. We were a spread offense when we won a championship in 2015, 10 and 11 personnel, running the ball. But we always had option ideas, whether it was kills, whether it was RPO ideas. But we had a conversation basically in 2016. Just Group 2 was changing. The scenery of high school football was changing. Catholic schools, tuition schools, kids having choice to go where they are. And just players coming into the program. It was just a situation where Raritan High School kind of embodies what the Flexbone offense entails, and the Flexbone offense really kind of it carries the flag for what our philosophy for football is, which is hard nosed, developing people, getting kids involved, being able to go all over the place with the ball. I'll let Chris talk about where his love for the Flexbone came from, but he was definitely the motivating factor. When your top coach comes to you and says, "What about this idea? I think it'd be special." You listen and you put your trust in him, and it was a great decision on our part to move forward with it.
So, Coach Damian, over to you then. Where did you come up with or why did you fall in love with it, if I could ask that question?
So my coaching career started at the college level at Monmouth University, and we were looking for a way to kind of be different and go up tempo. So a couple parts that we did was one was getting the pistol, and we were 11 personnel, and we were at the time, Urban Meyer was at Utah with Alex Smith, and they were running zone read, but it was really that triple option idea. And then we had a no line coach from Siena, who was a Flexbone team, and we started running midline. We were having problems with the 3 technique. So it's funny how Coach Gallagher brought that up, is it's kind of like it kind of wets your whistle a little bit with like, this is pretty good. And if you're having problems with the 3 technique, midline's kind of the way. So we incorporated it at the college level. And then, eventually I got to high school, and when I was first year with Anthony, he was 15, and he just had the athletes to be in that same spread system. So we were doing some of the same things we did at Monmouth. I installed it when we got there. And, as time went, we lost some of those athletes, and I had been studying and going into the Flexbone as much as I could. I had a buddy who coached at Navy, got to go down there, and Coach Diamatolo is as unbelievable as Coach said. He just kind of says, there's the film room. We'll see you when we see you.
Yep.
So, you dive in there and you watch a guy like Keenan Reynolds run the show. And Navy is the undersized service academy who doesn't look like the other teams, but they're moving the ball with the system that they're running. And that's kind of the Rockets at the Group 2 level. We don't play a Group 2 team the whole year. We play 3, 4, 5 Group 5 teams. And, it's been a great equalizer. And when we have some dudes, it goes a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've been all in. And, the only thing that's different, and, it's a little bit of a hot topic in the Flexbone community, is we are in the pistol. Just something I've always done. It's kind of my little wrinkle that we did. And it's worked out for us. So we've stuck with it. And, we'll look like an 11 personnel team at times, but we're still 2x2. We can motion those guys across, and just adds a little bit of an element to the passing game, which I think we incorporate a little bit more, throwing a whopping 25% of the time.
Okay, and that is a lot for a Flexbone team.
Makes us slinging it in the Flexbone offense.
It's funny you bring up Keenan Reynolds, because that was actually the quarterback that I stood in. I was in the huddle. I was the 12th person in the offensive huddle listening to his calls, and then I would step out and watch the play develop in front of me at that clinic I was referring to. Yeah, I mean, it was Coach Diamatolo. I mean, he was just go for it, do what you got to do, and he was around and just asking questions. Him and Coach Jasper were awesome at the time when they were running it. So hats off to those guys and appreciate them. Coach Chamberlain, Oklahoma.
I'm here.
They got some history of the option at Oklahoma, isn't there?
There's a little bit. There's a little bit of history. Some guy named Switzer and some cats before him did some things with a wishbone or something. I don't know. A little bit of triple option down here in Sooner State. I love that you are talking about where'd you find your love for the flag. I'm gonna go ahead and be honest with you guys. I'm here as a favor to Mike because I love Mike. And then when I heard it was Flexbone, I was like, oh. I have one experience with a Flexbone offense, and it was not a very good year. So I don't know if it was just ran poorly. I was kept out, and I was the defensive coordinator, so I was kept in the dark on like what the offense was trying to do. Got no input, so I kind of have a bad taste in my mouth. So I'm really here, honestly, to kind of learn and see why y'all love it and how you're using it. Look, we use principles of it, and we're kind of a single wing offense, so it's not like we don't. We're not going out and running veer and midline really, but we're running triple option plays, or we're a big RPO team, so we've kind of taken the Flexbone and put it in space, or just taken those triple options from somewhere else on the field. So we're doing a ton of that stuff. So a lot of the exact same concepts. It's just not the same base plays you guys are going to be running. But I'm stoked to just kind of hear you guys hash it out. And Mike, your conversation about, how the refs, you already started with, we saw it and we're like, damn it, we got that team on the schedule, right? It's a Flexbone team. Like, I don't want to, that's rough. Defenses around the nation are saying the same thing.
Exactly.
So I 100% understand the concepts behind be different. Make that defensive coordinator have to, every one of them puts in a different defense, right? That's kind of the double wing, the Flexbone. Those two offenses are really, they make defensive coordinators be very, very versatile. So I'm pumped to hear some guys that are having success with it and have a love for the offense, so that I can steal your stuff and once again weaponize what I'm trying to do with your concepts.
Yeah, so you guys will hear that a lot with Daniel. Daniel is he's a military guy too, so he likes to talk about Army, weaponizing.
Beat Navy.
Well, guess what they're running?
I know, Mike. All right, look, you can only be so good, If they ran anything else, they'd run people off the field or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a big
Captain
OU
America
fan.
Quarterback.
I went to the University of Oklahoma, and I had to go sit in the stands and watch Army run it up and down the field for 4 quarters, and it came down to I think we got a late interception and kicked a field goal to win it or something.
Yeah, that was
and
great
then last year, of course, Navy beats them in San Antonio or Dallas or wherever the stupid game was. So, told you it's not always the good experience of option football here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen the bitter side of you here, Daniel, but I guess we all got it, so it's all good.
That's right, man. Anyway, pumped to hear you guys talk ball though, and put my input in there some places.
So, Coach Gallagher, start off with you, and I got to start off with an officiating question because that's predominantly what my podcast is about. But I just love football too.
Yeah.
What do you feel is one of the hardest things that you've noticed when you're up in North Jersey, you're getting different officials cycled through and stuff like that on a week-to-week basis? What do you find to be one of the biggest challenges with the officiating with your style of offense? Because I will tell you, me personally, again, I love it. I look forward to it. I enjoy it. But there's times where I'm sitting there looking at the fullback and all of a sudden the quarterback's gone. And I'm like, oh, they are nice. Yeah. So I'm enjoying it. But where do you find some challenges in the officiating aspect?
Yeah, so I don't think that there's too much. There's been a couple of times through the years where I felt like, we've been called for, chop blocks that I don't think were accurate. I think guys will see us playing with real low pad level, and I think we'll warn the referees ahead of time to be on the lookout for those things. And so I think that sometimes they go in with a preconceived thing, and but those are few and far between. The one that I ask the officials every week is, we tell our quarterbacks on day one, when you hand the ball off on an option play, you've got to protect yourself afterwards. You have to understand that someone on the defense is told they've got the quarterback, and they might not know that you just handed it off. But I do think there are times when it gets excessive, where the kid has clearly handed it off, and it's like, Tommy tough guy, I don't care if he's got it or not, bury him. And to me, that's dumb. And so I always ask for the guys to be kind of on the lookout for that. Again, I get it. The kids, they need to make sure that the quarterback doesn't still have the ball. We are good fakers. But there's times where I feel like that gets excessive, and I always ask for the guys to just, keep an eye out for that. But, you're going to have probably an inadvertent whistle once a year.
Don't say that word.
Yeah.
That is like my daughter's watching Harry Potter. That is the Voldemort of the officiating world, is the inadvertent whistle. So don't say that. Yeah. But Yeah, no, you're right. When it comes to the triple option, and I could tell you in our game that we had, we were sitting down as a crew beforehand. We always say, swallow the whistle. So I don't know if you went back and listened to your game, but Anthony, I could tell you if you have us again as a crew, there are a lot of plays where against a triple option team, we're not blowing a whistle because
Yeah,
we are told don't blow the whistle unless you see the ball. And a lot of times with a triple option, we don't see the ball. So this is where we get into, okay, when does the play end? The play end when the ball carrier's knee is on the ground. So the play kills itself. The whistle happens after the play is over. So you can have a late hit still in that scenario, but we don't want that inadvertent whistle because, again, I could say as a coach, we ran it and I had the worst quarterback to run the triple option my first year that I ran it. But he pulled it and he was running down the sideline, and thank God it was a scrimmage and the whistle blew. And we're like, but you just blew a whistle with the kid running down the sideline untouched. Like, what are you doing? And that's a real thing. So a lot of times, unfortunately, you do get those late pops. And unfortunately, what you're talking about with your quarterback too, if he does a good play fake and he's still running, they don't know if he's got the ball or not. But there's times where quarterback's going to kind of like not put his hands up like I'm doing visually, but like pull up and okay, that's when you kind of lay off him.
Yeah, to me, there's been times where, like, okay, you did not think he had the ball there,
Yeah, it was a free shot at the quarterback.
Yeah, and that's another point that is a thing that we have to address, that we will talk to our fullbacks about, in terms of ball security, is like it's a little bit harder for you guys than it might be in just whatever conventional offense because, they're going to let the thing go. Like down there at the bottom of the pile, you still need to be protecting it because the whistle is going to be later. From the guys that are doing a good job are going to make sure before they blow it.
Yep.
So you got to make sure you protect it until you are 100% positive that the play is over.
So Anthony, I'm gonna ask you the same question as the head coach, and I know you're on the field, Coach Damian. I don't know if you're up in the booth or not when you're calling the plays with the offense, but Anthony, what are probably one of the biggest challenges that you're finding when you guys are running this offense when it comes to the officials?
We just try to give the officials a heads up. Usually with some of our unbalanced formations and things that we do with that. The things that we do are not much different than what other teams are doing, to be honest. I think the one thing that officials struggle with the most is that, in a conventional offense or whether teams are running speed sweep or whatnot, the ball for us when it gets on the perimeter, sometimes I think it's a shock for the officials, like in veer and mid triple. So, you get to the perimeter and just like you were saying, your eyes are not necessarily, you're a side judge. Your eyes are not necessarily where they were supposed to be. And I think we've gotten called for more holding calls that weren't holding in the Flexbone than we were when we were the spread. Just because I think guys are like, oh, how do you get in such great position? Well, the defenders have eyes too, and they're peeking and they see the quarterback and they're taking steps in. And next thing you know, we have the edge. How could he be in such good position? It takes a lot longer to get out there. So I think that's the one thing. We've had some really good blocks out there that have been mistaken for holds, that have been, called back, but they were just right on. It was like, and our guys, in the Flexbone, they're the wide receivers are fullbacks. They're trained in the art of blocking, get bodies on people. They have to do that in order, like skill number one, to be out there for us on the edge. So that's I think something that is just a little bit different, right? You got to train. It's different. So we get it that the officials have a harder time because sometimes that ball, you don't expect it to be out there, and there it is. Now it's in your lap. So that's one thing I think that we just try to let them know.
Well, as a sigh of relief, personally, I could say that that's not going to be my flag because I'm focusing interior, not on the exterior. So, so as an umpire and a referee, that's not where I'm looking. But that's just me being selfish in that scenario. But yeah, I could definitely understand that. So Coach Damon, how are you teaching it when the guys do get to the perimeter? What are you teaching? Because I know some Flexbone teams, and now with the new rules and stuff like that, with the crackback blocks and different things like that, what are you teaching for that perimeter blocking? How are you how have you differentiated that now when you now have the blindside block being more prevalent in what we're looking for these days?
Yeah, with the crack, we're really telling guys, you can't ear hole anybody who's not looking at you, but you sure can get in great position for when they turn at you and get active. And we want guys to go underneath is our term, as opposed to over the top. But just get in great position, set a lot of basketball picks if they're not looking. And then, straight up on the perimeter, we do a lot of switch blocking. So the outside receiver will come in and block a safety, and the A back will work out to a corner. And the reason we like to do that a lot is because it does time up better with the
Okay.
pitch. So you're not holding blocks as long. Once you get in that, straight stalk of a guy right in front of you, there's a lot more room for error for that guy to try and escape and our guy to maybe get in bad position. So I think setting angles is important because there's a lot less holds called when those guys are working on the side of a man as opposed to straight up and potentially getting in a bad position there. And we work stalks a lot just to make sure that those guys are, we talk about attacking, buzzing, and collisioning. And again, I think the key is not letting kids have to work out there too long to hold the block. So
Yeah.
the switch block's been good to us. It's a two high thing, but we try and incorporate it in one high by incorporating a crack so we could kind of have those, cross blocks on the edge and kind of make a lane for the pitch player, which, helps us kind of know where we're going as well.
So I want to throw this to both coaches now, or all the coaches. How often are you pitching the ball? Because I know that at the high school level, the pitch is not as prevalent as much as the QB or the fullback or the B-back dive.
Depends on how you want it. That's all I'll answer. We'll pitch every play if you want us to. That's the deal. Like it's your choice. How do you want it? We're
enough.
gonna bring it that way.
Do you
Coach
find,
Gallagher?
Mike? So I'm going to ask this question
Yep.
as a follow-on: is do you find you are handing it off more because those internal players are less disciplined or so much easier to read, or maybe defensive schemes just want you to hand the dang ball off? Like, don't let them get to the edge. Do you find that where people are forcing your hand?
I'll let Coach Damian answer that one first. Coach has ways of getting the guys the ball when he wants them to have the ball. When you're running triple, when you're running mid triple, when you're running veer, you're trusting the quarterback to make the reads. But if you want a certain player, you want your A back to touch it, we can go with toss. You want your quarterback to keep it, we have plays for that. You want your B back to make sure he gets the ball, we have plays for that. So, but I'll pass that one to Coach Damian.
I think for us personally, triple, I think teams have been concerned with stopping the B back and closing as much as possible, that's why zone dive has kind of become such a big deal in our system. But a way to get him the ball on inside veers, split them out. Big splits is something that people incorporate, and we try and do that as much as possible. Or just a personnel thing, a kid who's just not closing. I know, Coach Gallagher, we're not afraid to run the same play over and over if we find an issue with the defense or a personnel matchup. And, there's nothing wrong with running the same thing 5 times in a row if it's going to be successfully for your goal. Over the years, I would say for us on inside veer, it's been a quarterback pitch play because teams are very concerned with closing on the B back. And once that kind of happens, we have plays to get the B back the ball, but it also helps us on the perimeter when, the 5 technique or the outside linebacker is a B back quarterback player downhill down the line of scrimmage.
That's great stuff.
Yeah. The thing I think, I don't think, there's any guys are any less disciplined. I do think that guys see less of like our style of line play, like that Army Oklahoma game that you referenced, like we had gotten that all 22 afterwards. And like we watched that thing, I don't know how many times. And, I think a lot of the times, because then the next year Army took Michigan to overtime too, and like people are quick to just say, it's the triple option system, and guys don't know how to defend it. But really, when you watch those things, there's hardly any option in that Army Oklahoma game. It's like Chris just said, that zone dive play. Army is just bludgeoning them, and when you watch it up close and you think about it, that Oklahoma defensive lineman, he's probably a kid that went to either giant Catholic school powerhouse or one of the factory big time program high school programs. Like, he might not have lined up against an offensive lineman in a 3-point stance.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of times in high school. And when they're doing their one-on-one reads in practice, it's zone reach and pass set. How many reps did he get against a kid in a forward-leaning, 3-point stance? And so I do think that, and that's not to say that there's not any. We still see some old school. We got to play like Wes Morris by us as rugged and blue collar wing tee as you're going to get. There's a good handful of them up by us, but I do think in just the general world of football right now that I think that's a thing that maybe helps the Flexbone team. You could be in week 6, you could be playing a team that again, like their defensive line might not have lined up against a 3-point stance yet, which is just different than the way it used to be.
Very bizarre.
Yeah.
Now, I got to give it to, and Daniel, I know this is going to sound odd to you, but I got to give it to the Rutgers coaching staff, especially in Coach Schiano's first go around at Rutgers. But he talked about going against the Armies and the Navies and stuff like that. They practiced against the Flexbone, at least a segment every single week to prepare for that when they would see that style of offense. And I think he was one of the first coaches. I think his defensive line was almost like 2 yards off the ball because it was kind of taking away a lot of the quarterback's reads and stuff like that. But he did a great job and holding those teams down from that. But that was also back in the day. And this kind of leads into my question. And Coach Gallagher, you kind of referred to it earlier. When I taught it, when I was running the Flexbone, we had the backside cut. We would have our backside tackle trying to cut that 3 tech on the backside when we were running inside veer away from him towards the 1 tech. And now the way that was taught to us by Navy with the drop step, crossing over, and then getting down on the ground, that's illegal now in the high school game. So what have you guys done now with some of the rule changes that they have for that backside? Because I know the backside cut, especially midline and veer, like that is something that is truly important, especially about getting that block. So what have you guys done to try to combat that rule?
Yeah. Go ahead, Coach.
I'm gonna probably bring that back to Coach Damian so he can talk about it. But we've never cut on the backside. We've always worked to reach. But at the same time, you get a 4-eye that's pinching. You have to have different answers for that. So again, Coach goes into some of our schemes that turn into almost gap schemes in a way, because we're not the crisscross. But we have different names for him, whether he wants to share it. But again, just getting creative on the backside to make sure that guy can't chase it down is something that that we have handled with just different checks.
Yeah, I think that because you can't cut and
every true traditional flexbone, they're going to leave the widest guy on the backside, and you got to play with pace to get out the front door if he's really closing. We've gotten away from that a little bit because, again, you can't cut. But the biggest thing we try and do is just be secure on the backside. A scoop to us is different probably than a scoop to a lot of other teams. We just ask that guy to a scoop for them is you're gonna get your head play side on the guy shaded on you, and whether he's on the line of scrimmage or off the line of scrimmage, you're gonna have someone over you as an offensive lineman at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on the backside and you have a 3 technique, you're gonna take a play side step, and if you get no immediate threat to that A gap, you're gonna work back to the 3. If you're a backside tackle and you got a 4-eye inside, you got to get to work. It's gonna look like an old school scoop. You're gonna open your hip, get your back shoulder across, cut his face off, and that'll look more traditional. But depending what front we're playing, the backside technique is just trying to block the dude shaded on you in the easiest term we use with the kids. Trying to keep it simple. And a lot of our combos go to the backside also, so we have that combo work in the backside gap too.
Makes sense. Coach Gallagher?
Yeah, I think similar stuff. I think the little detailed stuff. Taking advantage of the snap count and being really good with your get off, and being really accurate and detailed in your footwork. There was a year that same year we were down at that clinic. We then went and watched Georgia Tech. I spent a day there, and it was awesome. But at one point, he gets annoyed with the offense and brings all of them together, and they're doing like clap drill on the cadence because they weren't getting off together fast enough. I always that one has stuck with me. That year they end up going to the Orange Bowl and scoring 40 something on Mississippi State. And the simple things like the snap count guys, leaving on the tee and set, I think is a big deal. You want to get that 4-eye cut off. Those are the little things we got to get really good at, and then, being really accurate with your first step and, point your toe at the back point of the football there. I think the way around it is in the details and the fundamentals and all that stuff.
And when you're talking Georgia Tech, you're talking Paul Johnson, Georgia Tech days, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Paul Johnson was the Mike Leach of the triple option, in my opinion. I think they both had a call sheet that was on an index card. They were both insane individuals that just knew the offense, and they were both fun to watch.
For sure.
And I think that's the best thing about that. As you're learning it, right, and you're diving into it, and you get all the, you can find all Coach Johnson stuff, on the internet and stuff, and just the fact that there's, in the coordinating world, when these guys are calling plays, that they have an answer for, if the backside linebacker's flying over the top,
Counter.
How are you going to control the 4-eye? They know, Coach Damian knows exactly what he's going to when this happens, and to have that system in place where you have the answers built in, it's as a head coach, it's very reassuring.
Well, heck, and when you're talking about triple, if it's midline or if it's veer, you got 3 plays in one. And when Coach Damian, you were saying call the same play again, you're not calling the same play again because it's still 3 plays. So there's all those different variables with it. Okay, we could run it over and over and over again. And the one thing that I found that Coach Niemock gave me when I was there was he gave me Coach Jasper gave me not his call sheet, but his booth sheet. Okay, who made the tackle? I need my guy in the booth. Who made the tackle? Backside linebacker made a tackle. All right, I'm coming counter. Middle linebacker made the tackle. All right, I'm going this. And it was always just on a variable of how the defense was playing you, and it just gave you so many options with it. Hence the name option, but duh. So
and Dan, you were talking about the RPOs and stuff before. If you go on YouTube and you just there's probably 15 15 different clips where you hear Mike Leach wax poetically about triple option and the Flexbone, and how the offenses are so similar, and the spreading the ball to different guys and that. That was he always, whenever he had a chance, he pointed out, coaching the Flexbone.
Coach, that's a really good point. And as I've grown in my coaching journey here, we use a ton of spread principles and we use a ton of triple option principles. And just because we don't do it out of the Flexbone, like I tell people all the time, like I don't know at what point it hit and I quit being we do this one way coach and I start thinking about concepts and just this is all conceptual. I'm just going to read a kid in space and it just comes down what kids do I have, right? Do I have 4 skinny kids that can kind of get after it? Then put them out there in space. If I want to get my kid in space and that's an athlete. And I understand a lot of guys go to the Flexbone when they feel like they don't have those kids, right? We just need to have a little bit of deception in here. Get a head start running. If I've got I don't know what y'all call them, A backs, B backs, whatever, the guys that you're putting in motion. But if I need to get him a head start so he can be my pitch man, be out there with a little bit of steam, by all means. We do it in the single wing and we just bring him from a slot receiver and motioning behind, right? And we just run an orbit motion and off we go. And it's the same stuff. Little zone read action away and then out the back door we go. So I know I kind of said I wasn't a huge fan of the Flexbone, but we use it all the time. Like every practice, we're out there practicing something from the Flexbone. We just started in a different formation or whatever. Well, I do have a question about RPOs. Have you guys had or found a way to get into this triple option stuff, but have a pass off the end of it, or maybe you're a midline, but you're going to throw the ball behind if that linebacker really stuffs it? How have y'all incorporated any RPO stuff at all?
Not so much for us.
We haven't, but I'm sure Coach has thought about some things.
I think the nature of the offense is,
you're going to make the pass game look like the run game, and classic play action ideas off of it, and whatever you're doing in football, you're reading a defender. It's just how you want to do it within your system. Something that the Flexbone provides is it provides great angles in the run game. You're able to set creases. You're able to, and that's where the undersized lineman comes in. We've all had the tackle that's, doesn't look like the tackle. But if that kid's willing to put his body on someone and, play low, and you could get a lot of mileage out of him because he doesn't need to knock someone directly off the ball every play. And I think that's what it creates. It's just creating space with 3 guys against 2 defenders, when you're running the triple. So you could run zone read with a bubble. You can run, Flexbone like we do. It's just how do you want it and what suits your system, your scheme.
Yeah, and you guys are all talking about angles and stuff like that. And Coach Gallagher, going back to the wing T stuff, the wing T was designed for having good blocking angles. And the same thing now with the Flexbone, where you're setting up different angles. And Coach Damian, to refer back to earlier when you were talking about the switch blocking, well, that probably sets up one of your best play action passes with that switch route, because all of a sudden that corner thinks he's coming out, the A-back is coming out to block him, and now he's down the sideline, and you got that switch route with the seam and the fade ball, just who's running them. So you're setting up everything with the different aspects of it. And one last thing to the coaches that are out there, I'm going to put my coach hat on instead of my official hat. What are you teaching the quarterback on smash? What are they doing? on basic smash, what are they doing? Are they reading the defender?
You're reading the corner. Yeah, you're high-lowing the corner.
And if the corner does one thing, they're throwing the opposite. And if the corner does this, they're throwing that. Well, if the 3 tech does this, you're doing that. Or if the 1 tech does this, you're doing that. So we're all running option. Like I'm doing it at the 14U AYF level right now with my kids' youth program right now. So every single football team is running option to some capacity. It's just, well, some people have taken it to another level, which is where your Flexbone and your wing T and the RPOs come into play. But if you think about it, we're all doing it. And that's where I'm like, why aren't more people doing it? Because it works. I mean, you guys are all successful in what you do. And Anthony, you can attest in the short conference, it's you guys, it's Point Pleasant in our area that are running it. And they're really successful to my knowledge with how they're running it. But there's not many teams that are truly running the Flexbone, which kind of just boggles my mind. But as an official, I'm okay with it.
It's again, because of this, because of the success that you could have in it, and the fact that most teams that run it historically in the short conference have been successful, you get a lot of the naysayers. You really do. It's funny how things are printed or talked about, like what you're just saying right there. I mean, reading a corner is something that every quarterback can do. You know what I mean? And you'll have people try to tell a flexbone quarterback that they can't use it to, get recruited for college, or something like that, something ridiculous. But you know what? An RPO where a linebacker's taking a slide step and us being able to throw a slant behind it, I'm telling you what, having a defensive end breathe down your neck and having to get the ball out and read that is 100 times harder. The stuff that we put on our quarterback in a flex bone is 100 times harder than the things that a spread quarterback is doing. It is, and they're doing it quicker. They have to do it faster. They're making the decisions. So it's like those are just little things in the the outside world where they try to put a label on this offense, and it's to be honest, it's just not accurate.
Yeah, and it's football, and that's where it gets a little crazy. So, coaches, it's worth it. So Coach Gallagher, I pulled up here. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this one, but I have a little pen camera that I wore in your game versus Ramapo here.
Oh, jeez.
So this is me as an umpire here in the middle of the field. And for those people that are able to watch it, I want to play a little clip here of how Morris Knowles ran their triple option offense. And it's not necessarily because of the offense, but I want you to just look at the tempo that is going on here, because I know that this is something that is a little bit difficult. All right, so we're at 22 seconds right there. That's me talking, trying to do some preventative officiating. But you're all going to notice Morris Knowles is on the line of scrimmage. They're getting the calls from the sideline. So the reason I brought this up is the first clip ended at 23, and then the next clip started at 43. So we're looking about 20 seconds between plays. So, Coach, as being a no huddle team running this offense, what type of issues are you possibly finding out? Are there things, or are you getting slower officials? I'm gonna kind of get against my own brother in here, but are you finding difficulties with officials with the tempo that you're running your offense at, of making sure the ball is spotted and that they're in position and ready to go from that?
I don't think so. And I mean, we're not we're rarely trying to be warp speed, we want to get up there, get lined up and get going, but we're not keeping a stopwatch at practice and that kind of deal. We do do a tempo period to work on getting up there and getting going. But no, we haven't had any issues officiating wise with that part of it.
Okay, because I can tell you that officiating that game, during the game, my adrenaline was going from snap 1 to snap 190 or whatever the heck it was in that game, because you guys, both teams were no huddle. But when I got in the car, and I live about two hours south from where that game was, by the time I got home, I was ready for a nap. And by nap, I mean I was ready to have a bourbon and go to sleep for the rest of the night. But
the thing that I think was so neat about that, just as a football person, was you had two teams there, and I talked to our youth football coaches about this. Whenever we have our meetings with the youth coaches, they want plays and schemes. It's guys, let's talk about some drills and some fundamentals. And the thing I pointed out to them, like, you had us and Ramapo, two very different systems. They're more spread out, and I think it's like the end zone system stuff. But like, we're both running 5 or 6 plays in that game, and we're both really good at those 5 or 6 plays, and both defenses are having a heck of a time trying to stop each other. At the end of the day, we put the ball on the ground in the fourth quarter, and they didn't. And that's the difference. But to me, that was the thing that was neat about that game. Was it was such proof to just the football world that it ain't about X's and O's and schemes all the time. It's about how good are you at the things that you do. It's one of those, you just tip your hat, like what a great job they did that day, and proud as heck of our kids that day too.
Yeah, and just so the rest of the guys here know, the other coach told us they do use a stopwatch, and they are planning on snapping the ball every 15 seconds.
They go fast.
So it was it was a whole lot of offense going on, and it was fun. Not gonna lie, it was a lot of fun to be a part of that game. Anthony, Chris, you guys, I mean, I know that my first year when I was running the Flexbone, we used that guy in center field or down the home sideline with the red wristband on chopping, because we were looking to slow down the pace of the game and just try to slow down a high octane type of offense in that scenario. Do you guys find any issues when it comes to timing scenarios? Are you guys no huddle? Like, how does it work for you guys?
Yeah, we're no huddle. But at no point in time, like, again, maybe end of halves, if we're if I had been struggling on defense at some point in time, I might say to Coach Damian, like we need to drive here, you need to hold the ball. But usually right now it's whatever he feels the tempo needs to be. We know huddle, but Coach uses it more as a way to collect data. So he can go fast, but he can snap it with 2 seconds. But you want to elaborate on that, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think our reasons for no huddle. Number one, I'll tell you, we started doing it a long time ago in 2005 at Monmouth. We did it because we wanted to get the receivers away from the quarterback and stop talking to them and tell them how open they were all the time. So we were like, just go stand out there, just stay away from him. But we've been no huddle the whole time, regardless of what we're running, and I think we do it to control the tempo. And I think Coach will agree. If we want to go fast, we can go fast. If we want to slow it down, we can slow it down. You might run 2 plays on first and second down, and then you get in a third and 4, and you kind of say, all right, let me look at the call sheet here for a second and get situated, or freeze motion and see if they're doing anything. I think it's a great way to control the pace of the game in your favor, and it allows you to do both, go fast, but we're not waiting for the official in the back end unless we're in 4-minute offense and we're trying to seal the deal at the end of a game. So we try and use it to our advantage and kind of change up, because the cadence is pretty consistent, but you can change your timing of things based off motions and not motioning, and they're expecting motion and you run a no motion play, kind of takes the defense by surprise. And I think anybody who no huddles does it because you're going to get more vanilla defense because they don't have time to huddle themselves and get a call in. And then with what we do, it's assignment football. So now you're no huddle, assignment football. You're going to get 1 or 2 things. They're going to start with something, and if you hurt them, they're going to number 2. And then if you hurt that, you're in great shape, and they might hop back and forth, but you could tell your kids what to expect and, kind of use that to your advantage.
So now I got a question for all the option guys out there. How deep are your offensive linemen?
They're not even with the center, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's illegal.
It is illegal.
Yeah, or as deep as legally
Yeah.
allowed. Yeah.
And
get
that's
talked to
one.
about
That's
that
another
every
one
year.
that for us as officials that we're always taking a look at. And so, do either of your teams have any players, guards, tackles that are in a 2-point stance?
And
No.
that's actually my argument, though. When they tell us to get closer to the line, it just has to, that left tackle whose helmet who's playing H back. You know what I mean? Like he's got to move up too. It's got to be even on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So the rule is that the helmet from a 3-point stance has to be at the belt buckle of the center. For the officials that are out there, for the coaches that are out there. So and again, being a Flexbone guy myself, I know that we wanted to stay back, but that was also because of our cut blocks. But as Coach Damian was talking about with that scoop block, and we have eventually evolved into almost even doing a box out drill, a basketball box out drill, not just a pick drill, but let me take my steps, and if I get my ass in front of the way, I'm going to just box that guy out backside. But that's where the depth actually came into a big portion of our offense. But I know that there are some teams that are a little bit too deep, and there are too many guys in the backfield. So that something that you guys have been called for?
I would say we get warned more than called, you know. They
Agree.
tell us and then we say we'll talk to the kid and we never talk to the kid and just let him play and they usually don't call and we say, "Hey man, we told him to move up," It's kids these days, he's just not listening to coach. That's kind of the
Kids
deal.
these days.
Or I just say, "Hey, when we were in over and you called us for an illegal formation because there was no receiver on line of scrimmage to the left," I just kind of bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, there's reasons I'm in the booth, but Coach Petruzzi brings that up to them.
Coach Gallagher, how about you guys?
Yeah, I would feel the same. We've been warned, and so yell out there for him to move up. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I've been preaching all along is let's do a lot of preventative officiating, and it's actually ironic with the clip that I just showed. The defensive side against Coach Gallagher's team was lining up really tight, and my short wing official was in my headset, and he's like, "Hey, Mike, tell that guy to back up," and I was like, 53 white, back up, back up. So I'm trying to do a lot of that preventative officiating because I don't want to hit them for a ticky tack foul. I want the kids to play football, and we all want the kids to play football, but we got to find those big ones, those holds, those plays that affect that truly affect the play, those safety type of penalties and different things like that. But I know that formation of being deeper in the offensive side is going to affect the play of the defense. So I was just curious to see what your guys' thoughts were with that, and how deep are you teaching the kids, and are you guys also? It's a 2-part question, I guess. Are you teaching an opposite hand stance?
We're not like drastic. Like we're a toe to heel type of alignment. We're not. Like I said, that's why I feel like it's ridiculous sometimes when they say that we're too far back. So that's not. I don't think that's an issue. Like we're not trying to be on the gray. We're I think we're fine. But our stance is, I think we're just asking guys to have a heavy posture. That's it. Like being in a position that you can get a takeoff. But again, we've gone inside hand down, right, and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I mean, we try and make the kids comfortable. I mean, for the most part,
if you look from the sideline, you might think some of the kids are in a 4-point because that offhand is kind of hanging down almost like a defensive lineman.
Okay.
It's not old school kind of locked back on the hip. And we really just want a great stance, whatever they could get in a great stance with. And, in terms of depth off the ball, we tell the guard to get back as much as he can, and we ask the tackle to get even with him, and sometimes one kid's longer than the other, and it looks a little funny, and then yeah, we told him to back up. We play the game again.
So, Anthony, you mentioned about the illegal formations, or Coach Damian, I forget who mentioned about the illegal formation. I think it was Anthony that said it because you're on the field. When you guys are in that over and under fronts, or so with the, I'm talking Flexbone, 2 receivers on one side with the inside receiver on the line of scrimmage. Are you getting called for an illegal formation a lot with that? And what are you guys doing, Coach Gallagher and Coach Petruzzi, as the head coaches? What are you guys doing with the pre-kickoff meeting that you guys are having with the referee and the umpire when it comes to formations?
I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to tell them. Because it has happened in the past. But we tell them we go wide receivers over. We know that he's ineligible. I even go through the spiel, like, if it's a pass play, that guy is staying right there. He's running a bubble. We know he's ineligible. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like he's not going. We're not trying to sneak anybody. That's the one thing we're not using anything to be deceptive. And so like we're doing it for schematic advantage. You know what I mean? But we know what the rules are there. So we use it a lot.
I got to interrupt you.
Sure.
You're doing it to be deceptive. Every
No.
offensive coach is doing it to be deceptive.
Bingo.
Anth, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but everybody's looking for that advantage.
As a former defensive coordinator, yes, the triple option.
You
is very
want
deceptive.
that guy to go out and cover that inside ineligible receiver so that you could run inside.
Sure.
Well, sure. But he better.
Everybody uses end over though in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but
if
don't
they
say
don't-
you're
they
not
don't-
trying to be deceptive.
If they don't cover down, they're not going to stop toss either. So
You're
they're
right.
gonna they have to make a decision.
Yeah, I think coaching has evolved so much. Everybody's watching film, and they kind of know. And we're also not breaking the huddle and running out there. I mean, being no huddle, you're going to see that wideout go from one. Everyone is watching that wideout run across the field. So to be called for that, it's like it took the kid 10 seconds to run over there. Like we knew it was happening. But everyone has that little wrinkle in where you freeze and you look over and this guy steps back and this guy steps off. But for the most part, people have there's people around them, but I think everybody has that little trick in their playbook, hopefully.
So, Coach Gallagher, I got one more for you, and it's not one of my proudest moments. I'm not going to lie. I got you guys on a false start. Your center was in a 4-point stance. You ran a freeze play. Your center picked his arm up off the ground and looked at his wristband for the play.
Yeah, I was pretty mad about that. Yeah,
I know you were. And as a former offensive lineman, I 100% get it. But because of the nature of the game that we were in, I had to throw that one because we had spotters all over the place saying, Mike, why didn't you call that one? I didn't want to.
Okay.
I didn't want to, but I was like, oh, if you go back and watch the film, you'll see me. I'm like, damn, gotta throw it.
I got you.
It was also something that the other coaching staff brought into our attention, and we were hearing it from there. But
I get it. Okay, it's that's the rule. I get it.
So that's my question for you.
Like, what is the spirit of that rule? Did our center rip his hand off the ground to try to get somebody to jump off sides? Absolutely not. But listen, that's the rule, and like we've talked about it since, and have a plan for it. For that to not happen anymore. But to me, that's one of those things. Like, again, what is the point of the rule? What is the spirit of the rule? Was that kid trying to deceive someone? Heck no.
And I think I could say to back myself up on that one particular play, he was more abrupt because he did do it. He did do it earlier in the game, and he did do it later in the game, and I didn't call it. And then that one, he was abrupt, and I think a defensive guy moved. If I'm remembering correctly, I haven't watched the film on it right now, but it's still it's ticky tack. I'm not going to lie to you, and it's one of those as being a coach, be a former offensive lineman. where I'm just like, gosh, dang, do I have to call that? And
Yeah, I have a sour taste for there was a game years back where our tackle does it, and it's real slow. I mean, there is nothing deceptive, and they throw the flag, and the coaches on the opposite sideline are, I mean, celebrating like it was so clear that they had addressed it before the game. And like, to me, like anything when you guys come and ask, is there anything you want us to watch out for?
Yep.
Like, I'll mention safety things, okay. I'm not going to mention something like that. Well, that's just my opinion.
I will say this to all the coaches that are out there, you will be amazed at what is brought to our attention in that pregame conference. Yeah. And what videos and diagrams and just like, okay, coach, are they playing football? Like, let's go. Let's play football. But that was one.
Listen, again, I don't want to sound like the rule is the rule. Okay. Our kid can't do that. Like I get it. Okay. I don't want to sound like I'm unsportsmanlike or any of that. I understand that the rule is the rule.
Coach, I throw the stripes on Friday and Saturday. So I got thick skin, so go for it. Yeah. Coach Ant, what did you say?
Hey, he's just. You shouldn't have thrown the flag. I completely agree with him.
Yeah. It's intent to deceive. It's not, that's when you call it, when it's intent to deceive, and it's not. He's just trying to look at his wristband, trying to get the play in. The one thing that I have to mention, because this is an officiating show.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got, over the last few years, probably like 5 times, we've been called on mid-triple, so mid-triple. Let's say we're running mid triple to the left. The left A back is going to twirl motion. He's going to come in.
And lead
so when
block.
the ball snapped, he's working in. And on the snap, the other A back is working across.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like 2 guys are running at each other for a second. But because we're using the cadence and it's all rhythmic, it's not a penalty, and they're just throwing the flag because it's so unconventional looking from the back guys calling it. He sees 2 guys essentially taking steps towards each other at the same time, and one's in motion and one's leaving on the, jumping the cadence as we asked him to do. And we probably got called like 5 times on that over the last few years, which is a lot.
Before we dive into that particular play, I want to talk about, and my short conference guys will understand this, but Middletown South was always that half second before the ball was snapped cadence of going. How are you guys when it comes to snap count? Like, what are you guys teaching?
So we could tell you that one, but then we'd have to kill you. That's one.
Yeah. But that one's
okay, fair enough.
As an offense, you got 2 advantages. You know where you're going and you know when you're going.
Yep.
So we try and utilize that as much as possible. And Middletown South was an option team forever, up until probably as close as 3-4 years ago. So that's definitely carryover from Antonucci being there for so long. He's run a different system, but he's using the cadence as a weapon.
So, Daniel, to give you a little reference here of Jersey guys talking, do you remember No Sean Marino?
I do.
No Sean Marino was a B-back in that particular Flexbone offense, and he also had the Peter brothers as linemen, which Christian Peter played for the Giants and played for a couple other teams, and Jason Peter. So he had some dudes. Like when you say dudes, he had some dudes, and he had some dudes at the slot backs and stuff like that. So it was just unfair. Like he could run whatever offense he wanted, and he was scoring 45, and then he was running this veer, and the kids were leaving what always looked like a half second or like a tenth of a second before the ball was snapped. And you're like, well, that's false start. And our safety is 20 yards in the backfield. It just wasn't fair at times.
I heard him sneak it out there earlier. I heard the snap count rule. I'm going to use it. They already said it on the show, and we won't bring it back up though. I don't want to get killed.
So for those
I don't
that are
have
new
my
to the
decoder
show,
ring,
we're on
you know?
Spotify. You can hit the rewind button and go back.
Yeah.
But yes, that's why I brought it up, because I do remember it referenced earlier in the show. So guys, I've kept you guys on, and I know here in Jersey, we're on the East Coast, and everybody, we're all starting our high school seasons. And I'm, by the way, I'm in week 3 of my AYF season. So you guys, like, come on, week 1. Don't give me this tired stuff. Week 3. I'm going to my 3rd drink too, so that's why I keep on holding up the 3.
It happens.
Huh? My last question that I got for you guys is, with the different rules and stuff that like, things have changed, and I could say everybody here on the panel, we've all been to a point where a highlight reel is not a highlight reel today. It's a penalty if it's a block, if it's a block back or something like that, if it's anything. How do you guys feel the NFHS in general, I'm not even talking about the state of New Jersey, but I'm just talking about in general, has done with the safety of the rules? And when it comes to the Flexbone offense particularly, has it been to your benefit, to your negative? Like, what are your thoughts on just the rule changes that have happened in the last couple of years?
I haven't seen any rules, and you guys can correct me if you have, but I've not seen any that has made football not football. We're at the high school level. Some people listen to this are going to be at the middle school level, youth level, and we're trying to maintain the integrity of an old game that was played by men, and then we're trying to do it with kids. And, like, you know, people get mad because you can't cut anymore, or you can't block back, you know, peel back blocks and all that. But dude, once it's your son out there and he already had maybe a concussion or two, and now some dude peels back from the other hash and cleans him up while he's not looking and ear holes him. Like, I have a friend that coached me when I was young, and his son got his 3rd concussion in high school because he already had some in middle school. And it's like, we're not playing the same game. So I will always support the safety of the game. Let kids come out and have some fun. They shouldn't have to worry about whether they can finish a college algebra class or not because their brain doesn't function the same anymore. Or are they? There's just so many. As long as safety is the main priority there, I think it's okay. If you're so old school or so committed to football being this gladiator, violent sport, like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe go to the pros or something. Go coach somewhere else or officiate somewhere else, because I want a kick-ass, hard-hitting, fun football game every single Friday night. I want to teach my kids violence in action and make contact and dominate. But we shouldn't be cheap shotting. We shouldn't be trying to take out people's knees. Coach, you talked about your quarterback's getting cleaned up after every play, whether he's got the ball or not. Like, look, as a DC, maybe my opinion was a little different, but I switched to the dark side, right? I came to that, and it's like, that shit does piss you off when it's obvious.
Yeah.
There's the nature of the play. I'm faking it, and I'm going to run it out there sometimes and beat you with that kid. So a little bit of it, I get it. But anyway, I just think as long as the rules can keep the spirit of the game in mind, it is a contact sport.
Collision sport. I will correct you on that one.
Level. There we go. And not make. I've got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old in there, and if I don't have to worry about their brain development or something ridiculous, like if they break an arm playing football, hey baby, saddle up, get some hot girl signature on your cast, and then, you know, move on in life. We'll get there. But if I keep having to worry about concussions because you're teaching your kids dirty stuff, that's where I think the rules have to step in.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I don't think, you know, any of the rules that are in place, the more recent rules changes, if it gets more kids playing football, more parents willing to sign their kids up and keep our great sport moving forward, like Coach Petruzzi and Coach Damian's, like, I think that we're pretty old school physical offenses that play the game clean. Like, you come watch us on a Friday night, it's pretty old school. tough guy football without needing to blindside flip somebody on their head. You can do it the right way and still be promoting the great things that we all learned from football about being tough and being dependable and all that stuff. So, like I said, any rule that keeps our sport moving forward, I'm for it.
Yeah, and with that being said, too, I feel like we still have a lot more leniency than definitely the NFL and the NCAA in regards to just the physicality that can be shown. I mean, you could still hit the quarterback in high school, like football. You know what I mean? Like there's still things that we can do, which is football. You know what I mean? The other stuff that you guys are mentioning, yeah, there's really no place for it unless your goal was to take the kid out of the game, and that's not what this thing is about. Look people in the eyes, do it between the whistles, and then and we all get to move on healthy. Survive in advance. You get a chance to play the next snap. And that's the big thing.
Last but not least, Coach Damian.
Yeah, I mean, I
agree with what both guys are saying. I mean, we're speaking the same language here. We want to play the game the same way. I think the high school level has done a great job taking away the unnecessary blocks. The touchdowns being scored and there's something going on 25 yards down the field that's unnecessary. That's really a safety issue. I'm just glad they're not as quick to call some of those fouls on. We don't want our quarterback to get hit either, but it's not like if he gets touched, they're throwing a flag. You watch an NFL game and people are losing playoff games because the quarterback gets hit by an arm and doesn't even get knocked down. I think Coach Gallagher made a great point. We teach our guys to carry out fakes, but defenders responsible for playing the quarterback do understand if he has the ball or not for the most part. And that's the hit we're trying to get rid of. If you start 4 yards off the ball and we run option at you and you're the outside linebacker and you have 5 yards to see if he has the ball or not, you're going to hopefully not hit that kid. Like, that's a foul. But if you're on the line of scrimmage and you're coming off the edge, the quarterback better protect himself and get rid of the ball pretty quick, And I think we understand that. That's kind of the life we live. But that's football, It's not anything unsafe. It's just how we choose to operate.
Great stuff, everybody. And I truly appreciate you guys all taking your time out of your busy schedules. I know here we are in the preseason, and some people 4:30 a.m. So I apologize, Coach Gallagher. But I really think this was a great learning lesson for not just the officials out there, but for coaches that are out there too, when it comes to the Flexbone and the nuances with the Flexbone. And the biggest thing that I can pass on to the official brethren is get rid of the whistle. Like when it comes to the Flexbone, get rid of the whistle. The play kills itself again. Talk to the kids, verbalize players down. Just don't blow that whistle because we don't want that inadvertent whistle. I apologize. We don't want that. We want the kids to be able to play football and tuck those flags deep. Like officiate the game, preventative measures. Don't throw ticky-tack fouls like I did. And I own up to it, and I hate myself for it. And I watch film. I'm on huddle. I watch it. I'm like, God dang it! Like, why did I do that? And sometimes you want
the rule's the rule, man. Don't.
Yeah, but I'm an offensive lineman too at heart. So, so my gut, all my things say to me, I'm a football player, I'm a football coach, I'm a football official. I go in that order. Like I try to officiate the games that way because I want the kids to play, I want the coaches to coach, and I want them to all leave the field safe. It is the ultimate goal. But ladies and gentlemen that are out there, if you stayed with us, like the Flexbone offense is a fantastic thing to do. It's got its nuances. It's got its intricacies. Did I say that correctly? My wife's going to kill me. She's an English teacher. I'm a gym teacher.
Yeah.
Dang.
You're good. Close enough for football coach.
It's got some specifics about it. How about that?
There we go.
But it's a fantastic football scheme to run, and for the officials out there, embrace it. Have some fun with it. Like learn from it, see what's going on, because I still learn, and I've learned not to blow my whistle. I've learned to put my hand up in the air if I see somebody down instead of going out there. And now we all have to learn about that whole little blue little baggie that we carry, that bean bag. Let's work on the bean bag instead of on the whistle, and not kill a play and screw up that quarterback from going 67 yards, which is, yes, 6'7". I had to go Brian Dable. I'm sorry. Sorry, Dan.
It's good.
I know you're a Red Sox fan. Who do you like in football?
Man, I used to be a Cowboys fan. Now I'm a
All
Buccaneers
right, moving
guy,
on. So I'm going to cut you off here. All right, so
Go Buccaneers.
all right, so gents, I once again I appreciate you all taking your time out. I wish you nothing but the best this season, and hopefully I get to see all of you at some point in the future, but not too soon. So we let this marinate. Guys, thank you once again. Have a great night.
Coach, it's nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, nice
All
to meet
right.
you, Dan. Coach Gallagher,
Great
good
time.
luck.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
luck, Coach Chamberlain. Thanks for having us, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Good luck this year.
Good luck, boys. Go get them.
Yep.